ship was, the Hazard, was built in 1944. She's a minesweeper. I mean, she goes and cuts mines loose before invasion landing craft. She got out to the Pacific for the Battle of Okinawa, went all through it. Was attacked, 10, 12 times. Has credit for shooting down 2 planes. Had a Japanese Kate drop a torpedo one night right underneath the bottom of the engine room.
Wow.
One of the guys who was there told me at a reunion he heard and felt something bump the bottom of the ship twice. That would be 500 pounds of Torpex, 10 inches under your feet. And they used her for 17 months and then put her in mothballs. 20 years in 1946. And then she came here in 1971 when a group of Omaha businessmen pooled resources. And you can't see from here, there's a boat marina behind you on the west side of the ship. And they brought it in the boat marina, which was originally dug to where the sidewalk is. And they put it in this end of the boat marina and then filled in dirt around it. And that's where she's sat.
Cool.
Now, the 2 things I wanted to point out, doing a little special flag set today. Right to left.
Okay.
DWP for Dagan William Page. And then CPL for Course. And then on the other side, USMC. And on the outside, the Navy salute. Bravo.
Wow.
And the other thing I'll point out, the camouflage is a story all unto itself. The Navy used that disruptive camouflage, sometimes called dazzle camouflage, in the Pacific in 1944. And it's the idea of it is that in bad light and looked at from a distance and low down on the water, like through a periscope, your eye gets drawn to the dark parts and it gives you an optical illusion of the shape that you're looking at. So, in other words, if you conclude the wrong shape, then you're firing at the wrong ship.
Right.
It can give you a false idea of the size, not only the shape, but also a false bow, false stern, false height. All of that is data that goes into torpedo firing solutions.
So they're thwarting their effort, basically.
Yeah, like any computer, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
Wrong data means your torpedoes miss.
Wow.
And it does work.
That's interesting.
I love it for a particular fact. It has an artistic shape.
That's what I thought.
Of its own.
Yeah.
And when you know who did it, you'll understand why. All of the Navy camouflage patterns were done by an artist named Everett Longley. He studied in Paris, turn of the century, in the Impressionist school with Dali, Picasso.
Wow.
And he knew all of them. He got into it when a British friend of his from the same time period got into the British Navy camouflage in World War I when they were desperate to find a solution to submarine torpedoes.
Right.
And then between the war, he experimented on his own with colors and shapes and ships. So all the patterns come from the mind of the Impressionist and Cubist school of art.
You can see it, like those geometric shapes are...
Yep, that's what he came up with in all those years of experimenting. Irregular trapezoids, curves, triangles, weird squares,
yeah.
so on and so forth. Well, one of his other tricks that he learned, if you'll notice up on top of the screen, here on the near side, how the blue wrapping around.
Yeah.
He discovered by doing that, you also trick the mind to where it can't figure out where the corners are.
Right.
The mind
that's also what makes it kind of hard to paint. You know, I'm trying to get that wraparound, but you lose that edge a little bit.
You have to kind of line them up.
Yeah.
And in my case, for example, I really ought to have that upper blue line coming down a little sharper so that it meets the side line. And, but if you go too close to that, you get an actual stripe and it kind of defeats the
Exactly, then it's like outlining it.
Yeah. So he learned all that from experimentation.
That's cool.
He developed, in the end, there are some 300 different patterns.
Wow.
For different types.
So different ones for different boats, yeah.
Yep. And then he modified some for larger ships to smaller ships. This pattern is modified from that of a destroyer.
Very cool.
There were over 200 of this type of ship built, and they're all gone now.
That's what I read. This is the only one that's left.
This is the only original left in the
Right.
world. There might be 4 or 5 sisters in third world countries that have been modified, changed, and cut apart, and rebuilt into different things. Yes, this is the only original left in the world.
That's
Out of some
so awesome.
200.
Wow.
But then consider American built, they think, some 10,000 ships between 39 and 45.
Wow.
And I doubt there's 30 or 40 left.
Right, probably not. Was it normal for them to decommission it or take it out of the war so quickly?
The war was over.
Yeah. You're thinking like Korea came up pretty soon after that.
Which
Yeah.
they had no idea.
I know.
America was in a very particular mindset after destroying Hitler and the Germans and Tojo and the Japanese army, and with all of the tremendous production that was made, and we had the atomic bomb.
Right.
Nobody else did.
Right.
And but the whole effort coming out of the Great Depression made most Americans feel like we could do anything.
Invincible. Yeah.
And probably justifiably so.
Right.
Considering what they'd achieved,
Yep.
So it was Korea the Communist Party taking over China and Stalin taking over Eastern Europe, and then getting his own atomic bomb.
Right.
It was quite a shock. It was quite a shock. And that era I lived through. I was born in 49, so I remember Mom and Dad talking about it.
I'm reading it.
And she got out to the Pacific just in time for the Battle of Okinawa.
Wow.
All through it. Oh yeah, attacked like 12 times. Credit was got credit for shooting down 2 planes. And we had a Japanese torpedo right underneath and bumped the bottom of the engine.
Wow.
According to one of the crewmen who told me the story. So yeah, this is the real deal. She's been through some work. There were something like 200 of these built all over the U.S. And except for 4 or 5 ones in foreign navies that are out of service and been rebuilt and modified to all kinds of other stuff, this is the only original left in the world.
Wow.
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 We see